and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Kimber Jones, and I'm going to show you how to make amazing chicken noodle soup. Alrighty, so first you want to get your pots. You have to fill this one at least 3/4 of the way full, and your other pot right here also 3/4 of the way full. This will be your noodle pot. These are both full. You take them back over to your stove and turn it on. You want it to start boiling, so you turn it on to high heat and let it sit for a few minutes. To your pasta pot. Alrighty, and now to your soup, to your pasta mix, your pasta water. You want to add enough salt and some oil. That way, your noodles won't stick together. Then you're gonna want to mix it a little bit. Wait for that to get to a boil and then add your noodles into it. Alrighty, for this amazing chicken noodle soup, your main soup ingredients are going to be 2 thighs and 2 legs, half an onion, 10 to 11 sliced mushrooms, 2 carrots, 2 pieces of celery cut in half, half a cabbage, about a tablespoon of minced garlic, some sage, about a pinch or so, 2 bay leaves, and if really needed, about a spoonful of Better Than Bouillon. Alrighty, so if you're onion challenged like I am, take the half an onion, cut it in like fourths, maybe if you have to, 8ths, it all depends, but you can always take one of these really cute little, I don't know what they are, chopper thingies, and put your onion in it like that, put it back on, and then just start, if it'll work, there we go. And just start cutting it. Alrighty, and after you're done pulverizing it pretty much, it should now look like this. Nicely, almost all even chopped. You have to take out a few pieces, rip them in half, and then it'll be fine. Alrighty, so now that we have your onion, you're going to put this into your hot water. Try to get as much of the onion in as possible. If you can't get all of it, that's not the biggest problem. Less onion means less tears. Or bad breath. You have 2 bay leaves. 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. A dash of sage. About that much should suffice. And then let that go to a roaring boil and add your chicken in afterwards. Alrighty, so now you're going to want to take your chicken and wash all the blood off of it. And if your family has little kids, play with the chicken. It's quite entertaining. Alrighty, since my family's kind of small, I'm only using 2 thighs and 2 legs, but if you have a pretty big family, you can use a whole chicken and just add it into the chicken soup. You don't need to debone nor deskin it. Alrighty, seeing that our water is now at a roaring boil, you're going to want to add your chicken. 1 and 2. Already it's already starting to smell amazing. I wish you guys had smell-o-vision nowadays. Alrighty, so now you can see that I'm cutting up the celery because this is one of the vegetables you really do want to actually add in right after you put the chicken into the broth. You can cut it varying to like what you like. You can cut it really small or you can cut it really big depending on the texture you like it in. Alrighty, now that you've cut up your celery, you can now add it into your chicken. Try not to burn yourself. And then you go on to the vegetables. Cut the carrots as thin or thick as you'd like, and I will continue cutting for about another 10 minutes. Alrighty, now that the carrots are now finely cut, you can put them into your cute little bowl, or clear bowl, and then start cutting the cabbage after you've cleared off your cutting board. Alrighty, there we go. So now you're going to take your cabbage and cut it into fine little strips. Now that your cabbage is finely chopped, like this, you can now add the rest of it to the bowl. As you see, I've pretty much cut up the other quarter. And then go and cut your mushrooms. Just cut them in half with your smaller knife. Cut them like that. Now that all your mushrooms are nicely cut, you can add them into here. And now it's time to check up on your chicken, or your broth technically. You want to make sure it tastes, looks, and smells. It's really hot, but it does need a little bit of the better than bouillon. Hoping it didn't, but it does. Alrighty, here's a second tablespoon of it. You didn't get to catch me with the first one, but just add in a couple tablespoons of bouillon, taste it. If it tastes right, then it's good. Alrighty, final stage of having your soup almost done. Add all the vegetables, the carrots, the mushrooms, and the cabbage. Be careful so it doesn't slosh up. Now you want to mix up and leave it for about a half hour. Now that your soup's finally on the stove, you now want to cook your noodles. So basically follow the directions on the back. Mine says 15 minutes, yours could probably say 20, but it's all to like how al dente you want it to be. So you're going to add an entire bag, or less or more depending on how many people you're feeding. You might want to actually use scissors and open it. Not do what I did. There we go. Yeah, noodles don't want to come out. Now you mix it, and we're good. Just leave them alone for about 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most. So now after testing your noodles, you go and take them over to your handy dandy strainer. And carefully, so you don't burn yourself, pour them into it. Quite steamy. Take the pot back over here. Here's the noodles. Make sure to shake them a bit to get all the excess water out of them. They look good. And then you put them right here. And here's our chicken soup. The actual soup part of it. It looks really good right now. Maybe give it another 2 minutes at the most, and then it should be done. Alrighty, so now you just take your chicken out carefully, put it onto a plate, soup it out, or fish it out. Alrighty. Put in the extra broth back into the pot. Mix that around. So you're going to take at least a scoop or so of the noodles, depending, and depending on the person. Then you go over to the broth, get some of that nice vegetable in there. Try to get as much of the broth in as you can. Just all depends on how much you like. Good. Alrighty, and then hand it off to your guests.